Howdy. Today I'd like to explain the difference between the two kinds of disk drives that we use mostly nowadays. There are some exceptions, but today we're going to be focused on traditional HDD drives, hard disk drives, versus the newer, superior solid-state drives. Um, uh, to start with, there's a few terms we need to know that apply to both. Uh, read speed or read rate, write rate, which refers to how fast you can get information from the drive, being the read, and how fast you can store data on the drive. That's called write. Um, Also, seek time. That's how long it takes for the computer to get access to the information it's looking for, how long it takes to find what file or you need, whatever you need on the drive. Um, Now, firstly, let's talk about an HDD, a traditional hard disk drive, and how it works. Um, I'm not an artist, so I've drawn a visual aid. So you can see here, an HDD is a stack of spinning platters that spin up to 10,000 RPMs in some cases, but generally 7,200 RPM is the standard. There are older ones that spun at 5,400, but that's it's kind of trivial at that point. And this is supposed to be an LP record player. It's the exact same concept, a spinning disc, something to read the data from it, whether it's the needle on the LP player. It's just like the read head on the HDD. And each one of those platters has one of those heads uh, to read the data from it, which is stored magnetically, and based on the magnetic charge, it reads a 1 or 0 uh, to express the data in binary, and then from there the computer interprets it to be what it needs to be. The thing about it is, this read head is only about a human hair's thickness above that platter that's spinning at 7,200 RPM. And if that head ever actually touches the platter, you've ruined the hard drive. That's referred to as a head crash, and that is the origin of the term crash for PCs, or computers in general. It will literally gouge a groove all the way around that platter, which has your files stored on it, often making them entirely irretrievable. Unlike the LP player, which actually did make physical contact to read the groove and generate the appropriate sound frequencies. Anyway, that's in a nutshell how an HDD works. SSDs, on the other hand, like the name suggests, are solid state drives. They don't have any moving parts. They will either hook up directly into the M.2 slot on your motherboard if it has one. If not, it can hook up to the same serial ATA ports that the old hard drives hooked up to. Not the very old ones, but we won't get into the history of IDE cables and master-slave configurations and things like that we no longer have to worry about. Now, SATA is pretty fast. I believe it's 3 gigabit per second, which is very good. But if your drive is connected by M.2, it can even transfer faster than SATA. Um, and you have the M.2 is connected directly to the motherboard's bus, which means it has immediate direct communication between the processor and the RAM, uh, making it, physically quicker and easier to get to the processor. So what this boils down to is extremely quick read and write speeds, as well as extremely low seek times, where you originally had to tell the computer that you wanted a file, and then it would have to access a table that told where each file was stored on the drive, which sector of the platter, and send the head over there to read all of that data and compile it, and then convert it to whatever, be it a graphic or whatever. But with the solid states, you don't have to wait for that physical arm and that motor to find what it's looking for, because their data is all stored on chips sitting on the drive, which is almost identical to how flash drives work. They got what resembles chips of RAM, more appropriately called ROM, or something to that degree, because it doesn't lose its charge when you unplug it, like the RAM in a PC does. So it doesn't forget. And that's the basic differences between the two. Are there any advantages to HDDs? Well, certainly they're cheaper. I mean, the price per megabyte is a lot lower. And you can do some stuff with them that's more appropriate in like a server setting or a data center setting. But for the layman or the gamer or the person working with AutoCAD or whatever, which would be considered an end user, there are no benefits other than possibly saving a little money. But you can have both in your system. You can buy a very large HDD and use it simply for storing things you don't need extremely quick access to, but use an SSD as your primary hard drive, which contains your Windows. If you'll look at the Computer Pros logo, or not logo, but video for SSD versus HDD, you'll see just how remarkably quicker a computer starts when Windows or whatever operating system is installed on an SSD. It's a matter of seconds for it to boot versus often several minutes in the case of an HDD. Certainly, as an HDD is failing, they get slower and slower because as motors wear out and they take longer to seek, and eventually they end up crashing because it doesn't take much to move something human hair's width to lower that arm. So when you drop that drive or PC real hard, you probably crash the head, and you don't have to worry about that with SSD. Other than that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would justify buying HDD over SSD, except the money. If you need a lot of storage, you know, 4, 8, 16, whatever terabytes, sure, you'd probably want to get an HDD or even a network attached storage of hard drives. There's like 4 or 5 hard drives in a little container that has, you know, if they were 4 gig drives and you had 4 of them, or terabyte drives, you'd have 16 terabytes all in a little thing on your network. To do it with all SSDs, you're talking a great deal more money, and your network would be slowing you down, so having that really fast speed might not be the best option for you. But to make your own computer boot fast, load programs fast, you definitely want to upgrade your primary hard drive to an SSD. If you had the money for it, it wouldn't hurt by any means for the secondary drive to also be SSD. Simply for the fact that they're more reliable. They don't have the head crash potential. Now they can break like anything. A little bit of a power surge or something can fry the chips in it. Which is to say, there's no point in not backing up your data in at least 2 different places. You know, have it backed up on the drive first, or stored on the drive, but then store anything imported on a second. You can clone that hard drive and keep it offline, or just save it on a flash drive, and then put another copy on the cloud if you are comfortable with that. Anyway, this has been my explanation between HDD and SSD. You can think of an HDD as an LP record player, and you can think of SSD as a flash drive. And that's going to conclude our video. I hope this helps and makes it clear for anybody not, you know, extremely tech savvy. You know, I've spent 40 years messing with this stuff. It would be silly of me to assume that everybody's had as much time to research and play with this kind of stuff. But anything you need to know, give me a shout. I'll try to help you with it. And of course, Computer Pros is who you go to for any kind of service you need, whether it be media centers or smart homes or server work, networking, running cable, whatever you need to do. We're here to help you, and we'll be hearing from you, I hope so, very soon.